Welcome to Chaotic Calling's Open RP rules for our Friday game over at twitch.tv/chaoticcalling. Due to unexpected numbers of new players that join weekly, we preserved my precious voice, so I made a video to help show you new and old players, newbies and veterans of Roll20 how to make a Charactermancer specifically for our game, so you can use Charactermancer to quickly make a character. Upon accepting the advert, most of you probably already were scrolling for a game that was open to recruit. You will be brought here to the launch page. Here you see key information about the game, and you can use that to get a head start on character creation. Please feel free to read this here in order to get the Discord link. So if you want to join the Discord and be in the voice chat, you should definitely click that link. Also be aware of the current milestone. We'll come back to that later. And then also you should have watched the YouTube video, which you're watching right now. There are bans in the forum post, so if you would be happy to look over those and make sure that you're not picking something that's been selected as a bothersome, well, not necessarily bothersome, but time-consuming turn order elements, or just stuff that just seems overpowered for the large group that we have. So be aware of race bans, be aware of subclass bans, and anything else in that particular by checking that out or checking out the Discord. And once you are ready to join the game, you will go up here to where it says launch game. I'm going to launch as a player instead, so I'm looking at this from your point of view. As soon as you launch the game, the API will allow you to see other character sheets whenever you go looking for it. And then you should also get a welcome package. A blank character sheet has been created for you to start building. And technically, you could just click this here instead of having to go find it. But if you needed to go find it because you missed this, you got your chat bubble, you got your art library, and then you got your journal. There are tabs up here at the top that will lead you into different categories. And what I would do if I were you is scroll down, because apparently you don't get the search feature on this. That's interesting. And your character sheet usually spawns at the bottom. Now when you use the Charactermancer, it doesn't auto activate because the API has kind of like ruined that for us. So we're gonna have to do it the hard way, my friends. So what do? We go to make sure we're on the character sheet tab. There are several other tabs here that you could be on, but please be on character sheet. You got core, bio, spells, and a cogwheel here. I want you to click the cogwheel, and we're only going to pay attention to the far right side of the character sheet here. We have launch level 1 Charactermancer, cannot be undone. You will click this anvil to start it. Used to, you have to click this to level up, but there's a new way, and we will get to that once you create your level 1 character. So once you do all that, you should see the option. Okay, next we'll be given a questionnaire on what kind of character we wish to create. So let me see here what we got. Click on next to proceed. And the first selection is for race. We banned custom origin, so do not select that. For this example here, just to kind of like point out some other options that have come up later, we're going to select human. You select whatever race you feel comfortable with, and once you select the race that you're part of, make sure you choose an alignment. We would rather you be chaotic neutral or higher. We do not want any evil people in our group, so if you would be so kind, do that for us. Make sure you make all the other selections, especially sub-race, and make sure you do your proficiencies and what have you. And keep in mind, like if something in background has you come back to race to change proficiencies, you can just skip around to the tabs up here. Once you have completed everything on the left here, we're going to click next. Once you select your race, use the remaining drop-down boxes, which we've previously done. Class selection is pretty straightforward. Just pick whatever class you're going to pick. We are going to pick a paladin for various reasons, just to kind of like get an idea. Make sure you pick what skills you're proficient in. You got athletics and intimidation maybe. And then, and then you have all this here. Make sure that if there are any other skills that pertain to your class, you get that filled out correctly. I'm going to assume you know how to do that part, so we'll leave that up to you. Next page, click next. Ability score method. Drop down menu to roll for stats. Yes, we do roll for stats on this channel. However, we are very, very lenient on what you roll. So for instance, you will need to make sure that I'm there to watch your rolls, of course, and then you will click the button. We will go through your dice rolls, and if I see 2 dump stats, or if I feel like the overall stat average is low, I'll let you re-roll. But in this case here, those are very acceptable rolls, so there's no point in re-rolling on that. But do ask, and then once you get the approval, like those are keepers, or you want to keep what you got, Next is to set everything up accordingly. For paladins, strength might be somewhat important, not quite all of it. Definitely want that in charisma. What you want to do here is make sure that there is one stat per row per column. So for instance, I'm filling out strength at 15. That 15 all the way down is X'd out. You can't put 15 anywhere else or else it'll remove it. That 16 is filled out. Don't put it anywhere else. So from there we go 12, 12, 12, and 10 intelligence. So make sure you have one row, one column per each stat. Otherwise, if we move this to here, you'll notice that it removed everything there. So make sure you select the proper one. Sorry. Next, click next when done. Choose background. Backgrounds are mechanics, and if you are playing in our Amnesia themed game on Fridays, the theme might change, but for now it is currently Amnesia in our current meta. You will go through here and select your background. Backgrounds are important, however backstory is not, so you do not have to have a elaborate backstory before you get in here. So just pick a random, well, don't pick a random background, pick a background that works for you. It will show you stuff that you already have, and then you can just add stuff to that. As far as like favorite events, personality, or any of this stuff here, you can leave it blank, but you can fill it out if you need help, like motivation wise. Click next once you have all the appropriate categories selected. Now, next page, starting equipment. We want to go with class equipment. If you want to make sure you have gear when we start the game, pick class equipment. Otherwise, you don't get a say in what you get. So pick the weapons. Don't pick what I'm picking. I'm just throwing stuff on here to move on. But do be aware that if you're trying to be a fighting type, there are going to be times when you are going to need something with range, so make sure you're aware of that. Move on down here, pick out everything that goes accordingly to you, and you can move on to the next one. Once again, make sure you get starting equipment, class equipment. Do not select money, because yeah, it's not going to get you anything. Click next to continue. If you reach the Arcane as a mystery to you, well, that means you don't pick magic spells. However, if you pick sorcerer, wizard, or any of the other classes that have spell slots at level 1, you will be given a list of spells to select, so feel free to start selecting your first level spells. But we'll move on from there. I'll assume you know how to do that because you picked the wizarding class or whatever class it is that pertains to spells. On the next page, feats. Normally, if you are not a human, you will not have this option, but humans are known to have the ability to learn quickly, so they get feats at level 1. From here, you can kind of like choose what feats pertain to you. Make sure you make the pre-requests for these prerequisites, I guess it's the right word. And then once you have, you can proceed from there. And then, yeah, it's just, I'm just picking random stuff. Next up, you click next once you have finished that. Otherwise, you would have just clicked next anyway because it didn't pertain to you. Character's name. Make sure you put your character's name here of which you want to be called whenever the game starts. So if your name is Starwin, that's my name in as far as moniker goes. Make sure you put your age, height, weight, eyes, hair. I don't care. You don't even have to fill this out if you don't want to. But we do weekly descriptions of our characters, so make sure you put stuff in here to remind you what you look like. So whenever I call upon you at the beginning of a game, you can tell people what you look like, what you're playing as, and then we move on from there. So this, use that to your advantage to kind of like have a mental note of what you look like. Moving on from there, you click next. Once you have verified that everything is correct, you will go ahead and click apply changes. However, there will be times like if you see like a bunch of null or low numbers up here at the top where it says abilities, that probably means you didn't get your ability scores clicked in properly. So you would go back to abilities and make sure you go down here and fill that out. That is a common mistake that I see a lot, so I just figure I'd bring that up. Like, make sure on this review page, if you do not see stats that are proper up here, you go to the ability page and make sure you have those stats selected. Once you have done all that, you can apply changes. Congratulations on your level 1 character. There are a few more details to go through to be fully ready for the game. On the launch page, there was a bracket that I mentioned earlier describing what level the game is at. If you recall, the milestone currently for this game is 5. So once you go back to the launch page and verify, we're going to say we are level 5. Verify with the DM or the people you are playing with to make sure that you are the proper level, because it might have changed. Next on your character sheet, you will see an anvil by the class of your character. Click the anvil on the main character sheet page and proceed to the Charactermancer level up. Otherwise, it would have been in that cogwheel and it would have been the last option. If you need to do it the hard way, it's down here at the bottom right and you click that. However, Roll20 made it easier than ever. We just click this anvil. Now we're in the level up Charactermancer. Click next. Now, let's see here. In this example, you've read on the launch page that it says level 5 and we'll need to level up to 5. In order to do so, you need to only put the level that you need plus 1, since you're already level 1, and that will get you to level 5. So whenever you're inserting your level, make sure you're aware you're level 1 plus how many levels do you need to gain, and it will equal the current level of the milestone. So 1 plus 4 equals 5, so make sure you do that properly. Next, rolling for hit points. You could take average and just click the average button and call it a day and move on to the next thing. But if you are a gambler, you can click the roll button. Once you click the roll button, click this little drop down right here. This little triangle that was upside down, now it's upside right. Now if any of these equal 1, I would allow you to re-roll. So for make-believe sakes, we'll make this a 1. So if this was a 1, you would come here and click roll on that particular roll, and now it's 5. That's it. But you do get to re-roll 1s until you get a 2 or higher, and that is actually a pretty good stat roll for this paladin, to be honest. 3 high rolls and a mid. Next, choose your subclass, whatever it is that you need to do here, and once you have everything selected according to your class, hit next. Moving on, you will need to do some other selections under features. Under features, it will tell you what you have gained while leveling up. So I'm just inserting stuff. You don't need to do any of this yourself. Just grabbing stuff accordingly, but make sure you fill this out according to your character. If you don't know how to play your character, look up a player's handbook and pick it up and start learning. We can only show you so much in this video, so we're staying focused on you knowing how to make your character. So make sure you make the character how you want it, and then select next once you're finished with that. Next, we have ability scores and feats if you have reached level 4 or higher. From here, you can select to move any of your stats up by 2, or you can go into the feat menu and pick a feat instead. Make sure your feat makes sense. Make sure it's like you meet the requirements for it, because some of these feats are only meant for like halflings. Like this one requires you to be a halfling or something to that effect. So make sure that you're aware of what you're selecting before you select it. But you know, in this case, we're just going to take 2 straight. Screw it. We'll just do it the easy way. Moving on from there, you previously may not have spells. Like if you're a rogue or a fighter or something straight up, you probably didn't have to select spells to begin with. However, now you can select spells if you're like a paladin or a ranger. As soon as you reach the level requirement to gain spells, just pick the ones that matter. It tells you how many you can select, so just select until you got the ones that you need, and then once you are done with that, hit next. Next, once again, review. Make sure everything looks correct. If something looks a little bit off, you might want to go back to one of the previous tabs up here and check on that. Once you have verified that everything looks correctly, you will apply changes. Congratulations, you leveled your character up. We're done, right? No, we're not quite done yet. Next up, I would like to introduce you to Token Stamp. Token Stamp is a easy website that I will provide the link down below. It's rolladvantage.com/tokenstamp, and here we're going to make a token. On top of that, I would like for you to find an image that represents your character. Once you find said image, you're going to download that image to your computer, and then you're going to choose the image. Go to where you save the image. I'm going to pick something from my documents, though. I think I have something in here I can use. We'll just pick something normal. Like here, we'll say this guy right here, right? So once you find an image on Google, save it to your computer, find it from your computer, choose image. Once you have the image selected and this here is filled out properly, if you want, you can also tinker with the color of the border. You can also change the border, but do me one favor, don't make it square, please. Make it a circle. So we want circle icons on our streams. just because it looks better. You can add some flair to it, or a little octagon, that's fine, or something like that, what have you. Just make sure that it is not a square, please. Anyway, once you finish with that, you can download. Click the download button and you will see that it saves a download of your image. Once you have that image downloaded, you will go to here and then go to edit and then go into click upload, and you will select the image from your downloads. There it is, right there. And there's everything else I've downloaded all week. You'll put that into your avatar. Now, we're going to verify right now whether or not this worked properly, but save changes. And you should only have to do that, but we'll see something here real quick. Now, I'm going to go to my character sheet, which is way down here at the bottom, right? And we're going to drag the name of my character sheet to the board, and then it's going to create a token. From there, the DM is going to take care of the rest. So you don't need to do anything, but make sure you could drag a token out. Now, if this doesn't happen and you get a blue mag group pop up, I want you to go back into your character sheet, hit edit, and where it's got default token, I want you to upload the same image there as well. Sometimes whenever you pull it over without having the token originally there, it just does not add it properly. At any rate, once you have done that, you are pretty much set. Now, the last thing I'm going to mention is what to do once you have your token done. You let the DM know. DM will do his part to make your token yours and make sure that you have rights on it and it has like the impertinent information such as HP and AC. Now, once you have a token, there are a few more settings that we should do before ending this. This will increase the quality of life in the game. In the chat area of Roll20, click on the cogwheel. And whenever I'm saying like the chat area, I mean like this region here. But I want you to click on this top right cogwheel where it says My Settings. And then where it says Personalization and Display, I want you to change your display name to the character name that you have created. Once you have done that, I wish for you to go to Audio and Video, Master Music Volume. Adjust this accordingly because we do use musical cues. Once that has been selected, go to Video Display and change player video avatar size to names only. Once you've done all that, you can hit back to chat. And now you can see the map. And this concludes the setup for joining our Open RP Friday. Real quick, just because I didn't have an example because I already had it set. But if this was left to like this, you would see several icons covering your map. And putting it to small, yeah, that might help, but we just set it to names only. You'll be able to see the map, no problem. But thank you again for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoy your game. Hopefully you watched the video all the way through. And if you did, just ask me as the DM, say, hey DM, can I get a gold star? And then I'll give you a free gacha item for finishing the video proper, alright? Thank you for watching, thank you for playing, and hope to see you over at Chaotic Calling.